When I got to California the first time, I parked down at the end of the block, and there was a guy across the street. As soon as I got out of my car, he yelled, "She's dead!" And he disappeared. I found some guy with a guitar, and you know, tell me what you know, basically. Anything going on like I should know about? I'm not trying to tip my hand just yet, but I made it clear that I was there. And oh, she's dead. Go back in my truck, drive back to Oregon. I mean, they were waiting for me the moment I got out of my truck, so they must know exactly who they're talking about, right? I mean, go through all that trouble and not know what you're even talking about. Who would do such a thing? So anyway, I just kind of work my way through town. Everybody is. I'm not going to wait for everybody to find out I'm there. Everybody knows I'm there. Just like any other time, I get some kind of a hint, a suggestion, someone I know. It's whatever. It's whatever your owner thinks. I stood in front of a grocery store with looking for work sign, street kids, cooked breakfast and lunch at the Mission. Like, you could probably have asked, verified, man, probably been there 156 times since then. The person that you are clearly falsely portraying, I have never lied to. So portraying her to call me a liar is kind of stupid. There was one time I pretended to be angry in a letter just to throw off anybody thinking of use her against me. I wanted to give her a little plausible deniability, a little flexibility. Cooked breakfast and lunch at the Mission. Maybe about 150 people. A couple of them looking at me like, it's probably a mental problem, because I know there's no truth to any of this. For one thing, they thought I was going to Louisiana. The blonde girl they were talking about was the one in New Jersey. So none of this was even a part of their plan, I guess. These guys said I smoked a joint at the place of business. It only happened in one place. Like the Mexicans along the way were like, okay, so he thinks it's because somebody, like, he's a narc, or somebody thinks he's a narc. That was all they could. I had no idea until I was completely out of money, out of ideas, and just ready to face whatever consequences came from non-compliance. When I was on the road, when I first left, like, my family's already suffered too much to leave it at that. I don't know why. Did someone manipulate this square, this regular person in a position, and say it was because of something I did or by my authority? That wouldn't make any sense. But I guess when you're delivering the information at gunpoint, not a whole lot of room for rebuttal. Let me just fill you in on exactly what's within the realm of possibility. I went down the whole street, and pretty much anybody that was receptive, see what kind of chatter I could get. I ended up down at the bookstore. I didn't go in because when I called ahead, I asked about so-and-so, and this guy just spilled his guts. So I wasn't trying to, I wasn't trying to connect anything too perfectly, but that's where I was. So I was there long enough that anybody paying attention, and a few kids talked to me. I was giving out brand new socks out of the package I bought along the way. I was going up to, people who looked like they had jobs, and asking if they knew or just wherever I could park my truck, spend the night. I didn't say, is there somewhere where with a 270-degree field of vision where I could park for the night? Like, ample opportunity for anybody with the wherewithal to cause this much trouble far away to have brought closure. But I end up, sometimes in a national park in the middle of nowhere, not slow for miles, take a quick nap, wake up, these dickheads talking all loud. Are you going to say something to me that makes sense? I'm not here to learn how to sell drugs, you idiot. They had one runt, some half-breed Canadian, yell, "Where's your meth, no?" I'm like, well, I guess if it was anywhere in this general vicinity, it ain't now, huh? You think you're funny? Wasting my time? That's never been my, I just suspect that you're probably trying to branch out your own operation at this point. Yes, I admit amphetamines scratch my particular itch, because apparently I got nerve gassed by your, if it was necessarily your outfit or just you match the description. May have inadvertently discovered a potential remediating therapy for early autism. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe an adult. Anyway, so I'm on this do or die fact-finding mission to the Pacific Northwest, where I've never had interests that there's a little minor personal thing. They're not up in the air. It's not. It would have been resolved whenever the zombie apocalypse waiting for me whenever I get off the bus. That's not their bag. It's not what they do. I mean, my knowledge never. So are you trying to expand into that territory and put it on me? No wonder you don't want me to get a hold of Washington about crimes against his state. I've never sold the hard shit, Your Honor. I prescribe only organic cannabis sensibilia, and only to my immediate social circle when I have some. The kind of nonsense that whatever they're up to is being used to fund already, don't fly with me. We can't afford it with the world's best cannabis. I don't need it. And it has to be organic. You can't adulterate it with petroleum products and claim to be affiliated with me. I don't like the way you do business anyway. Anyway, there was a couple visits. At one point, I almost broke down and I tried to arrange something. I was like, okay, so I just gave this one. This one's already been in contact with Dad, and they're gonna track. Hey, forget about it. That's the level that I've been trying to operate this whole thing on. I bought a bunch of burners, calling from this place, and I'm getting plausibly deniable instructions, suggestions. So I might find something worthwhile if I venture into this. Why go through all the trouble? You know what I mean? And just leave me on a wild goose chase because you're going behind me and making it look like I was part of something. So I didn't go north of Portland. Had I not been on a strange rescue mission, I would have loved to put down roots somewhere in the area, but I couldn't just stay there without answers. I'd go out of town, back in Oregon, and see what the phone company threw at me and just go through the motions. But when I'm in that area, I mind my manners. I picked up on a signal to go to such and such a place, and I have enough faith at this point, like, all right, so I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna find something. And I did. Like, I stopped in at the airport first, and a guy, there was whatever, the guy came out of the hangar, and he looked at me, and he went back in. I keep driving a little bit. There's an abandoned housing development. I go up to the highest point, and I park. I got my lights on, my doors open. I find out later, these jackasses sent an Uber to the wrong. Show me any kind of like professional maneuver. It looks like it's got a purpose. I know I've seen things in places. Anyway, so it wasn't until I finally got all the way back home. This was after a little wind down at jail in New Mexico. Wasn't until a second excursion to West Texas and back that I found out that when I was in Oakland the first time, they raped the girl that sat next to me on the bus. I got off the bus, and then I guess when she got off further down, they were waiting for her. The next morning, I go to the coffee shop or whatever, and there's a sketch of a Mexican dressed exactly like me. And it was so uncanny that I was like, but it was a cheap enough local rag that it might have been some sick joke. It never occurred to me that anybody that sick, like that kind of evil even existed around it. Let alone why it would have anything to do with me. So it was on my way back from West Texas that I first suggested it had something to do with 2007. So that was the Robert Davies thing. So they must have accused me of falsely witnessing. My first instinct. I even went back to that police station. I was like, how did things play out? And they're like, oh, he turned himself in. Oh. So there's no reason that I would have guessed years later that somebody thought I had something to do with that. There's no reason, like, when I got fired from my job, my boss said that I was effed up, that I would think he was under the impression that I falsely witnessed against this guy. I had no recent suspicion why someone from my distant past would suddenly become friends with my girl, and now she's under the impression I cheated on her, and we take a break for a couple of weeks, and I show up with flowers, and her neighbor told me she was doing some guy, like, incidentally. So maybe we should codify this somehow, but when you tell a girl her boyfriend cheated on her so that you can have sex with her, that's rape, right? I've only cheated once, and that's why I assure you that the girl you're pretending to be worthy to talk to wouldn't call me a liar. No disrespect to anybody, any judge in particular. The one who framed the dude with it. I don't know if he looked at the voided witness card, it said void, real big letters, or neglected to do so. I don't know if he was too dumb to do his job or he was in on it. But this guy ended up spending most of his early adult life in prison for nothing, and then got framed for murder because he was convicted the first time. Somebody with a space program act like he got a religious assertion with me.